Rooting Solo Penguins, this Danish year we're back with, well, something kind of random actually. It's just a lot of things, it's something that's been going through my head, really. Because I mean, of course, it's on the topic of zombies. Now, many of you know I fucking love COD Zombies. I played it since World at War. I didn't actually get on the zombie bandwagon until after Doris was already released. I didn't have an Xbox until then. Well, I did, but I didn't have Xbox Live until then. And then, again, it took me a while to get the DLC. But of course, I've played zombies since World at War. And I've had every zombie map, the day of release, actually, since then. Now, I know that's probably quite bad, considering it's a bit overpriced, considering it's just 4 multiplayer maps and a zombie map. And I only play it for zombies. I waste, what, a tenner? Just for a zombie map each, except for Resurrection. That was pretty good. But still, that still means £2 a map, or for the Americans, $3 a map, which is not worth it. It really isn't. Should be around about $1.50. £1 or $1.50 a map. $1.50. $1.50 a map. Jesus, what the fuck's wrong with me? My speech pattern again. I don't know what I'm talking about. Ignore me. So yeah. This on the topic of zombies, it's just a lot going to my head. There's a lot of expectations, I think, for the next zombie map. It's one thing why I personally prefer Treyarch. I believe Treyarch listen to the fan base just that little bit more. Because I mean, as for Infinity Ward, sure, I'm not bashing on their games at all. It's mostly when it comes to Call of Duty, none of them are really bad games. It's just the community. It's just the COD community is a little bit savage. That's one thing. That's one way to put it. It's just the community is annoying as hell. I mean, it's filled with some hypocrites. And mostly it's filled with people who are like, "Oh, COD is the best fucking game ever," and anyone who says different is retarded. It's like, nobody cares what you think if you like that. Everybody has their own fucking preference. It's overrated. The series is overrated, but it's not bad. It's not a bad series. Overrated, overhated. But I'm getting off topic. Now, it's just been going through my mind recently. What do we all want to see for next zombies? Personally, I'd like to see it split from the main series altogether. And a lot of people have said this. They want to see their own standalone zombie game. That'd be great. But then you think more deep into it. Zombies is literally just a game where you go on a map and survive as long as you can. Now, how would you make a full game, a full disc-based game, with just that concept? What would you have to put it in there to make that game worth the price of admission, worth that $60 or £50 or £40? Yeah, £40. Because that's how much they are here. Unless they're really, really overhyped games, you know, like GTA 5, Skyrim when it was released, which I did buy 2 copies of because the one was for my dad, which he didn't get till Christmas, but still, he literally played that game for about a year and a half straight. And both of us love that game to fucking shit. Awesome game. One of the best modern RPGs I've ever played. But again, I'm off topic. It's thinking, what would you do? And you gotta make sure you don't go pulling a fucking Capcom. Don't go pulling an EA. Now, if you've been following game news, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, Capcom, their DLC practices are notoriously bad. I mean, what have we got? Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which goes on to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The patched version of the game they re-released as another disc. That's fucking bullshit. They didn't even patch the original game to fix the netcode for the shitty online. They did the same thing with Street Fighter 4. And Super Street Fighter 4 apparently though was a very good game. it added all of the modes that it should have had originally, but it's still inexcusable that they ended up re-releasing this as a new disc. They could have at least shoved all of it into a patch, because it should have been in the game in the first place. I was thinking, oh, it could have been DLC for the original game. No. That shit needs to be on the disc. DLC is downloadable content, not disc-locked content. Disc-locked content that you have to pay for, even though you paid for the fucking disc. When you buy a disc, everything on that disc that the player is supposed to access, obviously the coding and all that shit, all the shit that only hackers end up accessing, obviously that's not you're not entitled to that shit. But when you buy a disc, everything on that disc that's meant to be accessed in-game, you've paid for. So charging something else that's on the disc, no. So don't go pulling that on us for a zombie game. Of course, EA, the online pass bullshit, the terrible online. I mean, what happened with SimCity and Diablo 3? Diablo 3, I know that wasn't a EA game, but it's the same kind of thing that happened with SimCity. SimCity 2012, I believe, or SimCity 2013. I don't know when it was fucking released. I haven't played SimCity since SimCity 2000. Or was it SimCity 3000? One or the other. I think it was both. But I haven't played SimCity for like 10 years. But that's because it didn't require online, even though it's a single-player fucking game. Don't pull Capcom, don't pull an EA. And the amount of time it's gone in there. I just said what shouldn't be on there. I was trying to think, what would you put on there to make it worth the price of it, the full price disc? Because obviously, since it's from Activision, it's a Call of Duty game, it's going to be a full price game. It's not going to be a budget title, knowing Activision. I mean, hell, Activision released Battleship. I mean, that was a game that was apparently developed in 10 months. A 4-hour game. Yes, I follow Angry Joe. So yeah. So that's why I know a lot of this. But that was a full price game. On top of the fact that it was based on a shitty Transformers ripoff. It's just to show off some or some special effects, and with a little bit of celebrity power, with of course Rihanna making an unnecessary appearance. What the fuck? She didn't even show up in the game. I don't think any of the main characters showed up in the game. It's just people with masks on. You can't see me. I don't know why I did that, but you get the picture. So it was going through my mind. It's going through my mind. I'm thinking. A lot of ideas came to my head of what should be in a standalone zombies game. And I know this is going on, geez, it's over 8 minutes already. I reckon what should happen for this game is, first things first, with a single player, it should have a real story mode. And when I say a real story mode, the one that we were promised for Black Ops 2, they said there would be a zombie campaign. That was the official quote, a zombie campaign. What we got was not a zombie campaign. That was not a campaign. It was just a bigger map. Transit. It was just bigger maps. And it is literally the same kind of thing that we got with the other zombie maps, when it comes to the story-related Easter eggs. I mean, the maps, they had the same kind of thing as the original maps. Hell, the same kind of thing as Verrückt or Shinonuma. Except they didn't have major Easter eggs. Doris kind of did with the fly trap, but that doesn't really count. But I mean, since Verrückt, in fact, since technically Nacht, because there was a radio, it wasn't story related, but there was a radio there that you could activate. It was just music. So that kind of shit has been going on since Nacht. Radio broadcasts that were in there. They just told a bit about the story, which we didn't get until Verrückt or Shinonuma, I forget which. And that was in transit. And then, of course, the major Easter egg, which we've seen since Ascension, though since Call of the Dead, have we actually been getting achievements for it, and they've actually had an effect on future maps. Ascension didn't, but it did kind of open up a bit to the story. And Transit just did the same thing, just with 2 different outcomes, 2 different Easter eggs. But they're kind of the same Easter egg, but you just either work with Maxis or Richtofen. And they just did that with Transit, Dire Eyes, and Buried. Buried, which I still haven't done. And I refuse to, just because of that sharpshooter thing at the end. Fuck that. I can't find 3 other people to actually be able to do it. Fuck that. I have a couple of people who have done it, but they haven't done other Easter eggs, or they haven't activated the end game. So if they want to do it, for the most part, they've all done Richtofen's side, so I can't do it with them. They have to do Maxis. And then they have to do it again for Richtofen. Fuck. And Mob of the Dead and Origins, they were a bit different since they actually ended the game. But it's still the same kind of thing. It wasn't a campaign. So a real zombie campaign, the one that was promised. So how I think this would work, I'd say, how this would work, you play the map as normal, but it'd be objective based. Kind of like the regular COD campaigns. Obviously you got the vanilla things like turn on the power, get the perks, etc, etc, etc. Then there's things when you're playing solo, it's just essential things to do with the story, so it's nowhere near as difficult, nowhere near as cryptic. And then there's also obviously going to be, it would have to bring back the co-op campaign that we haven't seen since World at War. I mean, that I enjoyed to shit. Co-op campaign, that was fun. Playing through the entire campaign with friends. That was fun. That was the first thing I did when I got an Xbox. I'm not even kidding. Because I got my Xbox on my birthday. My mate was around at that time. And the first thing we did was co-op World at War on the campaign. And we nearly played through the entire campaign. We would have, but on the second to last level, he had to go. And then I realised I had to do the entire one in solo and also unlock all the levels again. But still, you get what I mean. So he needs to bring that campaign. So then the full objective in that map is revealed. It's obviously going to be much harder to bring back the original difficulty from all the other Easter eggs. But for the solo ones, for the objective one, you complete it. You complete the objective one in solo. It's nowhere near as difficult. And then once you've done that, once you've finished playing on that map, the next one unlocks, similar to any normal campaign mode. And you keep doing this for every map to unlock all the maps. And they all have some kind of progression in them when it comes to the story. And again, don't do a Capcom thing. Don't shove the ending as DLC. Don't shove stuff that are essential to the story as DLC. Shove it on the fucking disc. Don't do a Capcom. I mean, the only one I've actually bought from Capcom was, regrettably, the DLC for Asura's Wrath. The ending DLC. I wish I didn't, but I really like it. I like the ending. And I like those last few levels. I like Part 4 Nirvana. It should have been on the disc. That really irritates me. It irritates everybody. It should be on the disc. So don't you dare cut off that ending and shove it later as DLC. And no day one DLC on top of that. No day one DLC. Put it on the fucking disc. So, of course, there'd be an option to play the game, to play all the maps you've unlocked as normal. As a normal game, like a regular zombies. So obviously there's vanilla, and then there's the story. And of course, the ability to choose your character. But then again, who would choose Takio? I don't mind him as much as I used to. It's mostly in the older maps I don't like the asshole. That's the campaign. Now, of course, bring back all the great weapons. When it comes to vanilla zombies, bring back all the greats. The Wunderwaffe, the Thunder Gun, Gersh device, the Wave Gun, I love that gun. I think the staffs would be alright, but they wouldn't be relevant. But still, how would you get them? Would they be in the box? And then how would you upgrade them? Because you only upgrade them on Origins through a complex steps of different challenges. Excuse me. Obviously, you bring back the Bowie knife, the monkeys, the Gershes, QEDs. Just bring back all the awesome weapons. Every weapon in Zombies history even the bad ones from Black Ops 2, you know, the jet gun, the Sliquifier, which isn't bad, but it's just nothing special. For a wonder weapon, it's disappointing. Bring back all of them. Every single weapon ever introduced in Zombies. From the Kar 98K to the Scar. No, is it the Scar H? I think it's the Scar H. Was that? I think that, yeah, it's the Scar, I'm sure, in Origins. From the PPSH to the Scorpion, every single weapon that's been in Zombies, bring them back. And I'll explain why later. And put them in vanilla. Maybe you want a World at War mode, you want Black Ops mode, Black Ops 2 mode, or all of the above. Like different modes when you're playing vanilla Zombies on the individual maps. Different game modes that allow different weapon combinations. Like maybe you've got a game type that's spray and pray. And obviously this wouldn't affect the war weapons. It would mostly affect the weapons in the box. It would just have fast full auto weapons. Maybe you want precision play. Or maybe it could just be go for the head. Weapons that are very accurate, mostly bolt action and a couple of semi-autos. Different games. See, these kind of ideas just come off the top of my head. This would be sweet. Different game types for every single map. And I don't want just map exclusive ones. I want all of the game types available on every single map. Don't just cut a few from different maps. No. That's again doing a Capcom, doing an EA. Hell, when it comes to recent games, that's doing an Ubisoft. Can anyone say Michael Jackson's Moonwalker on Kinect? But then again, it's a Kinect game. Most Kinect games are shit anyway. Like DBZ Kinect and Star Wars Kinect. Fuck them. I wish I didn't get a Kinect. I wish I didn't. Overhyped. But see, game types like that. Or maybe blow shit up game. Where it's just explosives. Again, this wouldn't affect the war weapons. Or maybe it could. You could shove weapons on the wall. It could change the war weapons around. See, these kind of game types. That'd be great. It'd be like custom game. It'd be like Halo custom games for zombies. That'd be fucking great. Obviously, maybe you'd be able to create your own game types. Which weapons would be available? Maybe the amount of zombies that spawn. How frequently they spawn. I'm trying to think. Maybe change the effectiveness of your weapons when you have them. And this kind of moves on to something that I think many people would love to have very, very much. A map creator. You know, a creator map mode. That would be a fucking zombie dream, man. I mean, and I don't want one of those vanilla, bare bones map creators where it's just like, okay, here's your template. Do you want it to be in a field, a desert, or a building? Okay, you can have it in a building, day or night. Okay, there you go. There's the entire foundation. There's all the windows. Just build your fucking map. No, I don't want that. That'd just be the same. They'd mostly be the same map, with slight variations in maybe the weapons or doors. That'd be bad. Now, what I want to see is a huge variety in map area, or along with, if there isn't a template that you want already, there'd be an option to build it from the ground up, literally from the ground up. And considering all of these games are going to be moving on to the next gen consoles, hell, I mean, there's already Dead Rising 3 for Xbox One, which I still despise. I've seen gameplay of Dead Rising 3, so I don't think I'm missing that much anyway. I mean, the main character he's not a Frank West, he's not a Chuck Green. I don't like him. But I mean, from the next COD onwards, which sadly will be a Treyarch game, it'll probably have zombies on it. So there's going to be more potential for larger maps. More zombies on screen, of course. Dead Rising 3 again proves that that's possible. New weapons. Obviously, this game would introduce new wonder weapons and good ones. Don't do another jet gun. See, so obviously there'd be when we could literally build it from the ground up, and quite literally from the ground up or down. You could have maps going underground. You choose where the tunnels would go, if they're big if they're big caverns, or little tunnels weaving in. If you want it on the surface, you can choose how much grass is growing, the tiniest details, the flowers, if there are any trees growing, any burnt out buildings, destroyed vehicles, anything, even to the tiniest detail. Obviously, there would be limits to props you could put in there, but there needs to be a huge selection, massive amounts of creative freedom. That's what needs to be in there for a standalone zombie game. If there was a map creator, there needs to be near infinite creative freedom, similar to Reach, but more creative freedom. Because Halo Reach has the best Forge mode. Let's be honest. Then, of course, you build the foundation for the actual map itself. You've obviously got the scenery behind it. You don't want to just have the map on its own, just the area you can access, and the rest of it is just cut off straight away to a blank nothingness. There needs to be a background detail, buildings in the background. There needs to be detail in the background. So obviously, once you've got the entire map raised up, it's got the ground ready, the details, then you start building the foundations for your map. So maybe it could be in a building. It could be in an open field. You choose where the player can access. You build to the smallest little millimeter where the player can access. So you build the foundations. You've got the first room down. Now you choose what weapons are available for you, and of course what price will they be. You put them there. You put where you want the weapons to be. How many do you want there? Do you want that same weapon to be available elsewhere in the map? You can. Then obviously you've got, where do you want the zombies to come in? Do you want them to rise out of the ground, similar to Call of the Dead? Do you want them to come in through different windows? How many windows do you want? How many are going to spawn? See, these little things would make this so much more immersive. Then of course you've got the first door. How much do you want them to pay for it? What's the next room going to be like? The smallest little detail. I think all those hardcore zombie players will spend hours, weeks on that map creator if there was one this detailed. I mean, imagine it like that. That'd be fucking brilliant. Then of course you've got the box. You choose where the box wants to spawn, where the box can spawn. You can choose whether it has a set pattern, or whether it's completely randomized where it could initially spawn, and of course where it could go when you get a teddy. Could it be a teddy? Could it be something else that signals that the box is going to move? Do you want to put a couple of gag weapons in there? What weapons do you want the box to spawn in there? So obviously you're going to have the map's default. Then of course it would change if you want to put a different game type on there, which you could obviously edit yourself. Excuse me. And of course, see, just the smallest little details you want to put in there. Do you want to put in your own Easter eggs? Music Easter eggs from a selection of different songs? Or maybe you could put your own songs in there, and I just twat the computer. You could put your own songs from your own library in there. But say they'd only work maybe if you were the host of it. I don't know. Maybe you couldn't do that due to copywriting issues, but they'd need to have a huge selection. Do you want to have one little spot where you can have a selection of the songs, and like you need to bring back all the songs as well, from Lullaby of a Dead Man up to Shepherd of Fire, or Archangel, you want to have Nightmare on Moon. 115, Beauty of Annihilation, Pareidolia, every single song. And obviously Carry On, which should have been in transit, and apparently was in transit, but got cut out for copyright reasons, which makes no sense. I mean, the band supports this fucking company to shit. This franchise, more specifically the Treyarch side of it, considering they've worked with zombies before. They did it on Not Ready to Die. They did Not Ready to Die for Call of the Dead. They allowed Nightmare to be shoved in Moon, which is still there. Nightmare is in Moon, which you activate by somebody in the game triggering the achievement where you die on the receiving bay, and your teammate allows you to respawn from the power room onwards, like on the other side of the excavators, while the excavator is drilling. Trigger that achievement, and that's when the song comes on. And that's still there. I mean, of course, Shepherd of Fire is still there. It's quiet when you activate it, but it's there. And it's obviously noticeable because YouTube noticed on my fucking video and told me I had third-party content on there. I didn't get a strike for it, considering I'm not profiting on it, so that's no big deal. So you need every zombie song returning, on top with the new ones that are added. One for each map. And no half-assed ones. You want ones with Kevin Sherwood in there, or the possibility of either Malika or Eleanor, or both, because they work good in Archangel. They worked really well together. You want maybe, I forget the name of the other guy who did the songs from Transit and Die Rise. That guy who did them. Carry On and We All Fall Down. They were still pretty decent songs, but they weren't as good as the previous. Though, I must admit, the one from Moon, I forget the name of it, I wasn't quite keen on. Just because too much screaming. Coming Home, that's what it was. Just a bit too much screaming. The chorus was alright though. But, again, there needs to be near endless customization in a map creator. And I've spent a lot of time talking about that. So many things you could consider in that. Obviously perks. You want new perks and you want every perk returning. You choose what power-ups you want in that map. And I mean every power-up. Do you want a boss zombie, maybe? Similar to George? Where he's one that's not affected by the rounds, he has a massive amount of health and there's a massive reward if you manage to kill him. Or do you want round-specific zombies? Similar to maybe the Panzer Soldat. Or the Napalm Zombie. What do you want them to do? How do you want them to attack? Do you want them to be like the Napalm Zombie and blow the fuck up? Do you want them to be just like maybe a stronger variant of the regular zombie where they maybe run a bit faster, they have a bit more health, they're more bulky, but they're a bit slower, they do more damage? What round do you want them to spawn, or does it need to be random? Do you want them to maybe have some kind of extra effect, like maybe upon death they might explode like a Nova Zombie? While they're attacking you, do you want them to shriek like a Shrieker Zombie? If they manage to damage you enough, they take a perk. Do you want them to do a Pentagon Thief and nick your gun? What kind of reward would you get if you maybe kill it without getting damaged? Or might maybe take its head off? Would there be a specific reward for that? It's so many things to consider. And that's the kind of freedom you need in something as massive as this. That kind of freedom it'd be a godsend. And I still haven't covered everything that could be possible, but I'll leave it there. Just say, what else would you want? Well, a working theatre mode. I've had a shit ton of trouble over the course of Black Ops 2's lifespan. Specifically, on what was it? Origins, and Die Rise. Specifically on those two maps. Die Rise, every time I tried to record the match, the first time I did high maintenance, the big Easter egg on Die Rise, the first time I did that, and I was going to try and do a guide on it, because I mean I was doing a lot of zombie info videos. I mean I did the weapon upgrades, which I haven't been able to do for Origins. I was going to, but I lost track of time and now it's far too late. There's no point. Then of course I did the buildables, and then I set then the perk locations, because they kept swapping around. It was confusing. And then I said I was going to do high maintenance. Now I tried, but every time I got to the step where you got to put, I was doing Richthofen's side now, you got to put the trample steams on the 4 zombie symbols, because you need 4 people, so you can get 4 trample steams. Put them on, and then you have the zombies get killed by all 4 trample steams launched into the tower. And then, at that point on theatre, the exact same point, it would crash my Xbox. Every time. By the time this was patched, then the match was no longer available. I couldn't get it back up from my recent games. I should have saved it, so it was my fault. And then Origins, I had problems with many different things being invisible for theatre mode. I mean, the shine from power-ups was gone. I mean, this was shown quite a bit when I was doing the guide for Little Lost Girl. Hell, a lot of the bullets that were shot from like the ray gun, the staffs, they were gone. Then right at the end, the pedestals, when we were placing the staffs down for the final part, they were shining more than they should have. It's like the shine particle was doubled in size. That shouldn't have happened. And then, of course, the glitch that kicked me out of theatre mode. So we want a working theatre mode and no restrictions. Okay? Now, it's very restrictive when it comes to theatre mode on Black Ops 2. Sure, you can go higher than your character can go. But that's about it. You're still confined to the spaces that only the player can access. Now, people use theatre mode for the most part as either info videos or music videos. Take a look at people like Borderline Disaster, who do a song for every map, who have done a song for every map. And the kind of camera angles they've had, most likely achieved on the PC version, especially when it comes to cutscenes. You can't do that shit on console. You can't get different camera angles in the cutscenes, which is disappointing. That's also what we want. A theatre mode to get different camera angles during the rendered cutscenes. Because that's one thing I didn't mention. For the campaign, rendered cutscenes for every map. Explaining what you're doing there, what point of the story is happening, maybe a bit of character development, maybe insight onto the character's past, similar to Buried, but proper rendered cutscenes. Buried's depth, but with Mob of the Dead and Origins cutscene type. Proper rendered cutscenes with the in-game models, not just blank, not just different backgrounds, hand drawn, which are nice. I will admit that it's nice to see that every map from Die Rise onwards had a cutscene, but only Mob of the Dead and Origins were fully pre-rendered cutscenes, real cutscenes. Die Rise and Buried were not, sadly. But I mean, Call of the Dead, they had a decent cutscene. They had a really good cutscene. See, it's that kind of cutscene, but say with Buried and Die Rise's kind of depth beneath it. I mean, with Die Rise, you learn a bit more about Stuhlinger. He was part of the Flesh, who believed in eating the flesh of the zombie was the way to survive, to gain maybe immortality or maybe an immunity to the infection. But it was quite the opposite. As Stuhlinger has obviously shown symptoms of the infection, which is like paranoia, cannibalism, etc. the latter of which was most shown in transit during his quotes, which mostly is show him getting hungry when getting a kill. How even Misty mentions it. Misty mentions it in a quote. It's like she's saying, "Bite somebody who will bite back," like Stuhlinger. So that's what I'd like. Rendered cutscenes, both beginning and end, showing how they escape. In the ending cutscenes, the beginning cutscenes showing depth within the story. It's that kind of thing. Basic cutscenes in the style of the old World at War trailers kind of thing. That was fucking sweet. And when it comes to DLC, something connected to the story but not an essential piece. Or maybe a DLC storyline altogether, where it's a bunch of maps with its own little storyline. Similar to, say, Borderlands 2 with the Mr. Torg's badass Creator of Bad Attitude tournament. I fucking love that guy. Mr. Torg is one of my new favourite video game characters. I love that guy so much. Tiny Tina's Dragon Keep. See, it's a massive new story. It's kind of connected, but it's not essential. That kind of DLC is done right. Again, Skyrim, that did DLC right. That did DLC very right. It's a massive side quest. I mean, Dragonborn, that opened up a whole new map, Solstheim, with its own story behind it, and a damn good one. Dawnguard, that was a damn good story. That added a shit ton. But none of it was essential to the main story. It was an add-on. That's what DLC is meant to be. It adds on to the already complete experience. That is the best explanation for DLC. The game is a complete experience. The DLC adds to that with extra lore, maybe a bit of side story, slightly connected but not essential, or maybe a completely new story altogether. It's an expansion that adds on to the already complete experience. And that DLC itself needs to be complete. No sequel baiting for more DLC to find out what happens next. No. No. That's not how you do DLC right. Take note from games like Borderlands, games like Skyrim, and of course Oblivion. Sadly, I never played Oblivion before playing Skyrim, so to me it doesn't feel like as good a game as it should be. I played Oblivion, maybe not enough to actually to be able to have a full opinion on it. So at some point, maybe I'll try it out later. See, that kind of DLC is how to do DLC right. That's how DLC is done right. So it needs to be a side story that's either connected or a completely new story altogether, but it needs to be complete. Or maybe they could add new weapons, like they did with Buried, because that added the Reagan Mark II into every zombie map. That was pretty sweet, because the Mark II is a beastly weapon. I fucking love that gun. I just sad that it's a bit 3 burst. But then again, the upgraded Mauser is only single fire. It's semi-auto. That's what I was looking for. And that wasn't as good. So 3 burst is better, regrettably. Or I could at least had a full auto switch. That'd be alright. But see, that's the decent DLC. That's the kind of DLC. See, these are ideas that I've just thrown out for nearly 40 minutes. Holy shit! How long have I been talking? See, that's how many ideas I've got in my head about a standalone zombie game. That's what I want to see. These are the kind of things I want to see, especially a map creator. But it needs to be fleshed out. It cannot be bare bones. It needs to be as full an experience as possible with near unlimited creative potential. Just so we can see so many creative maps, but we'll likely see a lot of maps shaped like giant dicks. But that's obviously compensating for the creator, one way or another. So, after 40 minutes of rambling, you've likely not watched until the end. And that wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. I've rambled on way more than I should have. But that's what happens. Streams of ideas come to my head. I start going a bit off topic. Kind of. But that's what happens. When I start talking about something that actually means something to me, I don't stop. So I apologise for taking so long, but that's what I want. That's the kind of thing I want to see. And you never know, there may be other ideas that come through. That's the kind of shit I want to see if there was a standalone COD Zombies game. That's what I prefer. I don't want it to be attacked on extra for the next mainstream COD game. But if that's the kind of standalone zombie game that would be released, I would buy a PS4 just for that. I'm not even kidding. I would buy it. There and then, you'd have my money. Shut up and take my fucking money. Everyone knew I was going to say that. But that's the kind of thing it is. Shut up and take my money. You would have my money instantly if that's the kind of game you end up shitting out. I would take that shit and I would play it so fucking much. And that sounded even worse. Oh my god. So there we go. I'm done. So yeah. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. Tell me what you want to see in the next Zombies. Be as detailed as you'd like, brief as you like. I want to see what anyone wants to see in Zombies. So, thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what you want to see again. Give us a favourite, share it. You know the drill. Subscribe to become part of the Penguin Army so that we can defeat the chair squad. This chair ended up twatting me in the face earlier. I will get my revenge once this video is over. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, Danish out.